Now, Erie's premier podcast. News about music, health, and what's happening. It's Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814. Sponsored by Erie Insurance.
Well, can we get a round of applause for February? I cannot believe that Mardi Gras and the Lenten season are like right around the corner. I thought I just put my packages away. I just took my decorations down here at the LECOM podcast studio, and I got to give a shout out to the Polka Princess Alice, who really stepped up this year and put a golden pierogi on my tree. That and a Mickey Mouse. We've been going back and forth with Mickey Mouse here in the studios. Podcast 14 is called Learn, Work, and Thrive in the 814. I am honored and privileged to have all my microphones on today for a trio of some of the most successful women in the 814. I welcome from Erie Together, Mary Beulah. Mary is the executive director. Hello, Mary.
Hi there.
And then we have Jennifer. Jennifer, it's Ponger?
Ponser,
beautiful. She's their Career Street Director. And I also have Mrs. Stacy Dell, the Director of Curriculum and Special Programs for the Union City School District. Well, welcome to the 11th floor of the Renaissance building, ladies. And you know, when I do like this roundtable discussion on Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814, I like to talk to each of you and find out more about you that you can let our listeners know. So, Mary, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
And let's go back. I know that your resume is full of wonderful, wonderful things in our community. Give us some idea of how this all got started, where you're coming from.
Sure. Well, I have spent most of my life in Northwest Pennsylvania, went to Titusville High School, graduated from Allegheny College, got my master's at Pitt, and then I had my first job in Erie. And the first job I had was running a group home for delinquent independent girls. I spent a few years doing that. And then I became a local government consultant for 10 years. My degree was in public administration, and so it made sense for me. From there, I worked at Penn State Barron for a few years in technology development and use across Pennsylvania, and then went to the Chamber for 6 years. I was a vice president of the growth partnership at the Chamber, and then I was working with Erie Together as a volunteer at that time, representing the business community, and then I took the staff role in 2012.
I'm exhausted, Mary.
Me too.
And now Jennifer Ponser, the Career Street Director at Erie Together. Give us your unique talents that led you to this incredible organization.
Yeah, well, I also have been raised in northwestern Pennsylvania. Graduated from Northeast High School.
You're a picker.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, and I went to college in Westminster College. I got my degree in elementary education. And shortly after I graduated, I learned that teaching wasn't really for me. So I spent most of my time in the private sector. I worked for Hammett for quite a while. And when the Career Street opportunity came up, it was great because I had the educational background to understand what educators were trying to accomplish. But I had the experience with the private sector, so I also understood their perspective as well. So it was a good bridge for me to come on as the director.
So the two of you together have really built the foundation of Erie Together. Together? Or did you come in later, Jen?
I came in later. Career Street launched in 2014. So I came in to launch the Career Street program.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then over to my left, I have Mrs. Stacy Dell. She's the Director of Curriculum and Special Programs for the Union City School District. How did we start as an educator, my friend?
Well, I have always been passionate about education. I became a teacher through my time at Edinburgh University. So I'm actually not from the area, but after I came up to Edinburgh, I really never wanted to leave. I love northwestern Pennsylvania. So I taught at Fort LaBeouf for a few years, teaching middle school language arts, and had an opportunity with my husband to move down to Florida for a couple of years through his job. And at that time, I moved into a position, an English position as well, teaching high school students, and really found a love for working with that age group that fortunately I was able to continue when I moved back up to the area and started teaching 10th grade English at Iroquois. So
you were a brave.
Yep. So I've had such a wonderful experience in each of the districts that I've been able to teach in, and got involved with Career Street through the teaching lens first, because I had the opportunity to teach a career class that benefited very much from the work that Mary and Jen do. So now I'm excited in this role to do the same.
Great. It's all about collaboration with Erie Together, isn't it? And, going through your webpage and just doing a little research, or a lot of research, and Jim has helped me out with some research as well. It's interesting on how many facets that your organization actually umbrellas. So, Mary, let's begin with the history of Erie Together and its mission. Was it just a nonprofit? Were you working as a volunteer? And then how did we go from volunteer to taking on the role as the executive director?
So Erie Together was founded after a report came out from the Erie Community Foundation that talked about the impact and the prevalence of poverty in our community. That report was called The Cost of Poverty and Impacts Us All. I think it was released in 2007. And when that report came out, there were a number of organizations that said, okay, now that we understand the issue, we want to figure out how to do something about it. So they looked all across the country and into Canada to see what efforts across the country in Canada were making a solid impact on poverty. And they found that this collective impact approach, which is what it is that we do, was something that was pretty successful. And so they worked together to launch Erie Together here. So Erie Together launched here in 2009. One of the first things that Erie Together did was convene all kinds of individuals from across the community. There were hundreds, probably 700 people or so, gave input into, if we want to be an entity that makes a difference in this arena in Erie County, what do we want to look like? And the aspiration statement that they developed was working together to make the Erie region a community of opportunity where everyone can learn, work, and thrive. So that mission and those learn, work, and thrive words are really what defines everything that Erie Together does. I was coming to this as a volunteer, as I said, representing the voice of the business community, sitting side by side with hundreds of people from different personal and professional backgrounds. And the way Erie Together works is it convenes all of these people, talks about and understands what are the biggest challenges and priorities of our region, and then helps them come together, work together differently, align their efforts, their expertise, and their resources to address them. That's what collective impact is, and that's the role Erie Together plays. And I was a volunteer, staff role opened up, I applied, I got it.
So were you on your own at the beginning of Erie Together? Were you the executive director, nobody else involved, or did you bring in others as well?
The reason Erie Together works is because you have someone leading it,
right?
But you have the input of hundreds of people bringing their brain power, their expertise, their resources to this conversation to develop plans and execute those plans.
So the objectives, what are the objectives of the organization?
So there are three main objectives, right? And they relate to those learn, work, and thrive buckets, right? With respect to learn, we're working to help more children grow up to become successful adults. With respect to work, we want more individuals to be able to secure and maintain family-sustaining jobs. And with respect to thrive, we want more families to become self-sufficient. So everything that we do in Erie Together somehow ties to one or more of those three overarching objectives.
And I know that you're out in the county because, of course, you're out in Union City, too. So this envelopes the county and the city. Is it difficult to put those two entities together and work, or has it worked?
It's worked because it has been a countywide approach from the beginning, right? And we're actually even further outside of the county a little bit in some of the Career Street work that we're doing. But it's all about helping people come to the table, bring their expertise, understand that they have to leave their personal agendas to the side so that we can all focus on those bigger community priorities and challenges that we want to address together.
Well, I think addressing from an educational standpoint is very, very important, because you need to start out with the littles to make this town great. I mean,
right. So think about that. So we started out as an anti-poverty movement, right? Well, education is key to preventing and reducing poverty. So it made all the sense in the world for us to become engaged in that educational arena, because you're right, that's where you got to start young, and you have to show them a path to their future and help them identify their interests so they know how to pursue those in the best ways possible.
right. Looking at the model, say we have learn, work, and thrive. Let's break down each session. Learn, I want to talk to you, Jennifer, and get your expertise as the director of the Career Street. Please elaborate.
Sure. Well, the conversations at the Erie Together table sort of centered around educators indicating that they wanted to have connections with the local employers to show the students of Erie County what careers looked like in our area. And at the same time, employers wanted an opportunity to talk about the careers, promote their industry, and talk about the skills that were needed. But there wasn't a mechanism to put these two together. So the Career Street program was designed, they did research and couldn't find another model like it. So they created Career Street for Erie County. It was created right here in Erie for Erie County. And it's an easy program for both the educators and the employers to use. It networks them together so that if an educator wants to have a speaker from a particular employer or industry, they can easily search and find and communicate with that employer to come and speak in the classroom or participate in a career day or host a tour, many things like that. And it's grown from there. It's on its 10th year now, and so we have grown and remained relevant and continue to offer more and more to the educators and the employers of our area.
So when we're talking educators, we're talking grade school, high school. Is that,
Yeah.
Preferably high school?
Well, so Career Street is a K through 12 program.
Okay.
But I would say it's most active in middle and high school. That's where there's the most interaction. We do have some programming for the younger grades. The younger kids are learning about careers in career awareness. They're identifying what a career is.
That's great.
As they get older, then they need to know what their skills are, what their interests are, and maybe what their future could look like. So then they begin to start to relate to the different careers that they see.
And I'm looking at technical careers because right now, we need folks, electricians, plumbers. How many times, ladies, do we go looking for someone to service our air conditioner and we have trouble finding somebody to get over there, or our roof's leaking? And there are so many different areas where, and I was a technical gal myself. I went to a technical Memorial High School, and I was in business, and there was auto body, and there was, small engine repair, all those different things that for those of us that didn't, of course I went off to Gannon University and became a theater major, but the bottom line is that these kids need something to hold on to if they don't want to. And right now, the money is in the technical area, correct?
Absolutely. We've been doing a lot of work to promote careers in the skilled trades. We have done several tours this fall, taking students to both local and a little farther south of here, some larger training facilities so that they could get some idea of what the training looks like, some of the larger facilities, and get a little bit of a better idea of what the job looks like.
Right. So under the learning umbrella, we have the Erie County Career Pathways Alliance. Can we talk more about that?
Sure, I'll talk about that one.
Okay.
So Back in 2012, Erie Together started really looking at career exploration and career pathways development because we know that that's key to a young person's future, right? And that will help them be more successful once they leave high school. So we started with the launch of Career Street back in 2014, and shortly after that, we knew we wanted to take it a step further. We knew that if we were able to create a network of employers, educators, workforce developers, post-secondary providers, career and technical educators, employers, if I didn't already say that, if we were able to do that, we could be better about helping the employers inform educators of what the needs were in their industries. We could be better about developing career exploration experiences that helped students and also helped employers have a hand in preparing the future workforce, and that we could help students better set their goals and understand what they should be doing throughout their educational careers. So that's when we launched the Erie County Career Pathways Alliance. It is an extensive network that has been functioning very well together since 2016. We have all those stakeholders engaged that I told you about. I would argue that it's the most comprehensive, longest standing career exploration and career pathways focused group cross-sector that our community has ever seen, and their commitment to that work has been tremendous.
Marian, if I look back, I would have really loved to have had this type of help when I was in high school. I mean, they said, well, you're going to college, or what do you plan on doing? But there was really no specific activities. So this is thrilling news for our children and our children's children to have these opportunities. Like, tell me about profile of a graduate.
Well, I'll start and then I'm going to turn it over to Stacy.
Perfect.
So we worked with an outside consultant called U-Science to put together this profile of a graduate. We knew it was happening elsewhere across the country. Our superintendents and school districts said they wanted to have this. So we worked with this group to develop this thing, right? And what the profile of a graduate does is it identifies 6 big bucket areas or attributes that kids should have, and then a whole lot of skills underneath those so that they can be best prepared for when they leave school. Give you an example of that. The 6 big buckets are things like academically ready, life ready, civic minded, workplace ready, future focused, and financially savvy. We convened a number of focus groups. We did a countywide survey. We had a community steering committee of 40 people that worked to develop this. And now this resource exists and is starting to be implemented in the schools. Next week, I'm going to take this out into the community. Actually, it's in a few days to start to rally the community around what we can do to help develop these skills. But Stacy, can she talk about what they're doing in the district?
Absolutely. Stacy, what's going on in Union City?
So we've had the opportunity to now roll this out to our faculty so that they are seeing that across the entire county, amongst all these different stakeholder groups, we have a shared vision of what we want kids to be able to do. And, when they are leaving high school. So it's really exciting for our team because not only can we take that and align not only our curriculum and programming to meet those needs, but it's also been a really great tool for us to start having some really hard and important conversations about where the greatest needs are. Which of those buckets, like Mary mentioned, do we need the most support and help as school districts to help our students be ready for those transitions whenever high school concludes and the world beyond begins? So right. I've loved being part of that process.
Mary, are there any other high schools involved right now, or is this a pilot project that is just happening in Union City, or is this countywide?
This is countywide.
Great.
We had the input of most of the school districts as we were developing this. We did a focus group actually with one focus group with all superintendents, another with educators, another with parents and a fourth with students, and another with employers. So we have engaged across the county more than 100 people in the development of this resource, and many of the local school districts are implementing it now.
I feel so much better about education in our county right now than I ever have. Just hearing all these wonderful things that are going on, and the profile sounds fantastic. How about life after high school? Is that part of all this?
That was
Mary?
a precursor to this. So
Okay.
that we put a Life After High School checklist out a few years ago, and then it has really now morphed and is included in this piece. And this piece is the piece that we'll move forward with as a county moving forward.
Can you tell me, I mean, I know the pandemic has set education back. Are we back on track, ladies? Do you think?
I feel like we're making great strides. I think that there was, so much uncertainty during that time that we have really had to morph and change in education to meet the needs of our students. But the nice thing is that Erie Together has helped career needs be a focus for all the school districts. We never lost sight of that. I would say even during the pandemic, we continued to really try to bring kids quality experiences and opportunities so that they have a vision for their future. So,
Well, that's what I wonder. Did it slow? Did Career Street slow for you, Jennifer, when the pandemic hit? Or are you seeing, lacking some lack in education since the pandemic? Or
Well, I would say initially there was a little bit of a stall, but
Stall. That's what I meant to say.
what it did was it created an opportunity for different ways, different methods, different means to expose the kids to careers. So it provided an opportunity for Career Street to begin offering video interviews and creating employer panels, recorded video employer panels. And so although they were no longer in person, we did still have the video library that evolved from that, and it is still being accessed today as well.
Well, that's good. How about, I loved hearing about the Youth Civic Engagement Symposium. How long's that been going on?
So we just finished our 8th year. We love that too. That is a really tremendous event. The first year we launched it, and again, civic engagement, important to youth growing up to become successful adults. So you can see how everything we do connects to those objectives that we talked about in the beginning. We started off with this event. I think the first year we maybe had 50 kids the first year we did it. And now it's just, the event sells out. It's free for students, but the spots sell out within hours of the time that we start to offer it. This year, I think we had 117 kids from 9 school districts. Last year, we might have had 140, 150. The numbers vary a little bit, but we have speakers from federal, state, local government at the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, and they're providing just a tremendous day for these kids to interact with them. District attorney, county executive, mayor, department heads, I mean, you name it, we have them. And it's just a tremendous opportunity for these kids to interact with their government officials.
Sure. And, and there are future voters too.
Exactly.
So it's really, really important that they know what's going on in their community. And when they turn 18, they can vote for what they feel is important for them and as they grow and mature in the 814. I love that. And it only happens once a year then, correct?
Right. Once a year. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
bet it is.
But it's a great event.
Where do you normally hold it and when does that occur?
Every year it's the same locations.
Okay.
So we do it at Gannon University to start, and then we move the students around to the federal courthouse, to the county courthouse, to City Hall, and we do a number of sessions over those over that day, and it's always around Constitution Day, so the 3rd week in September.
Great. Well, the final piece of Erie Together is Thrive. Ladies, let's discuss this, your self-sufficiency program. And also, I'm curious about the Domestic Violence Alliance action.
Sure. So the Thrive piece, we really started out and spent many years working with families to help them set goals and work towards those goals by matching them with a mentor, right? A friend, an intentional friendship to help sort of bounce ideas with them and things like that. So that was called the Family Action Team process, and it was our Getting Ahead program. We haven't done so much of that lately. Our partners with that are making some changes, I think, and we just haven't moved forward so much with that as of late. But our Domestic Violence Action Alliance, we launched back in 2019. I believe. And it's a group of about 25 or 30 different entities that somehow interface with domestic violence victims and survivors in one way or another. And it's helping them put together and implement a strategy to reduce domestic violence in this community. So we spent a couple of years putting together the strategy, meeting monthly, and now we're in various stages of implementation. Our next piece is we're bringing together all kinds of providers from across the community who somehow interact with people who may have been exposed to domestic violence to help them better understand what their counterparts across the community do and make better referrals so that we're ensuring that the systems are working together in the best ways that they can.
It sounds like we're taking all these nonprofit organizations and bringing them together to make a difference in the community. I love that you were talking about all the different domestic violence organizations that are involved. Important, not only in the city, but in the county. So, and what I'm most impressed with Erie Together is that it's county-wide to improve the 814, including the local economy and people's lives. So when we're talking about these broad initiatives, Mary, let's talk results. Let's talk about, since the implementation of Erie Together, what are some of the highlights?
Okay, so I'm going to hit on some of the more recent ones because, again, we have a 14-year time span, right? And
yes.
And I probably can't articulate very well some of the earlier results that we had. But let me talk to you about this from the perspective of initiatives that we have most recently led and the numbers that we've collected from an engagement and an impact standpoint. And I think one of the things I'll talk about, and Stacy could really, I think, speak to this too, is our multi-district industry club, which was a pilot that we launched to provide different career experiences to kids in each of the 5 generally accepted to career pathways, not to get too academic, so that they could be exposed to a lot of different careers and really hone in on what their interests were. We only had 5 kids in this pilot, but the results were impressive because what we did was we did an immersion in career pathways. We gave them some soft skills guidance. Then we put them through employer tours, college and university tours. We had them do up to 3 job shadows, and then we had them do a 40-hour internship. Of those 5 kids for this pilot, 100% of them increased their understanding of careers in the region. 100% of them solidified or refined their career aspirations. 100% recommended we offered the program again. 80% of those kids deepened their awareness of at least one career pathway, and 2 of those 5 students received job offers from employers. And the reason, again, when you think about this countywide work, when you're talking about the rural areas, even sometimes in the city, but let's focus on the rural right now, access to transportation is really difficult, and that's one of the things we're providing for these kids so they can all have similar experiences. Stacy had one of the kids, and one of her kids just happened to be one that got a job offer. So I don't know if you want to talk about the impact of that.
Give us the story.
Yeah. So
Stacey.
this particular student had, the opportunity to not only visit college campuses and, engage in some networking and collaboration with employers, but she had an opportunity to participate in a paid internship in which she was actually working in the field that she was passionate about. And so much of that wouldn't be possible for students who, may not have access to transportation, especially as remote as we are.
That is one of my concerns is, how do we get these kids into town to these bigger companies? And, being rural, there are a lot of different, 9 out of 10 of those who are most food insecure, because I work in food insecurity, are from rural areas. So it's very, very important to get out there. So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I thought that this storytelling about this individual, how are we getting them into these?
We had the partnership of Hanson Air and Service was a critical
nice
piece of the puzzle here because they were willing to take these students and get them to all of the different experiences, take the student daily to their internship and things. So that was just something that was not necessarily going to be an opportunity without this program and without that partnership with Hanson. So to say that student and family and myself and the rest of her team were grateful for the experience would be a huge understatement. But that's the thing about Erie Together and the work that the leadership group is doing is, providing those experiences across the board and ensuring that students have tangible experiences and human beings to interact with who can give them that hope and excitement about their futures.
Sure. So. Mary, the pilot program, we were talking about that. I heard plenty of 100%. So that sounds fantastic. Is this the pilot program are we taking it to the next level now, or?
We would like to. So we're trying to secure funding because Hanson's needs to be paid, right? The internship wages need to be paid. All of those kinds of things we have to raise funding for. And so we're trying to secure the funding to bring that now to a bigger scale. And remember when we talked about that network that the Erie County Career Pathways Alliance is and how everybody has a role to play? We've been very fortunate to have a partnership with Northwest PA Job Connect, which is our local workforce development board, which is a conduit for funding and also an important data provider for us because data guides everything we do. With the partnership of Northwest PA Job Connect, we were able to secure some funding for another project we're real excited about that we talked about a minute ago, which is our Skilled Trades Project. We secured a $37,000 grant through the U.S. Department of Labor, working with Northwest PA Job Connect to provide exposure to skilled trades careers for kids. We just really got active with that project in the mid-stage of 2023, and more than 300 students benefited from that skilled trades project. And in terms of data there, well, I'll tell you what we did. We put together a whole skilled trades directory, which never had existed before, bringing exposure and information to kids about how they can get those careers. We did 2 employer panels featuring 8 different unions. We did a skilled trades day for educators. We did several skilled trades training center tours, as Jen mentioned, for students and teachers. And we just finished a series of our first 5 very well done short videos featuring skilled trades and earning potential and all of that. And almost 90% of the kids that have participated in that and completed our surveys have said that participating in the experience increased their awareness of skilled trades careers in the region.
I have heard, out through that grapevine about these videos. So many people are so appreciative for them. I was having a chat with John Popoff over at Erie Boys and Girls Club. And he said, well, who are you having on your show? I said, I got to get Mary Buell on. And Erie Together, we're going to figure something out. He goes, you tell Mary how jazzed I was to see that you have these videos now that the kids can watch. And as we all know, you cannot go through the 12th Street corridor without we're hiring. In my lifetime, I have never seen so many jobs available to students that are coming fresh out of high school.
Right. And the earning potential is tremendous. And the training comes free of charge to them if they go through these unions. And it's an earn while you learn model. And it is tremendous. Do you guys have any students that are pursuing or interested in pursuing those careers?
We do. And I think that so much of that is, because of the efforts of Erie Together. The directory I know is utilized.
I love the directory.
Yeah, it's so cool. And even whenever I shared out the videos with our team, we do have some career classes and a guidance counselor that really focuses in on career exploration. And, it was just the ideas were just, all over the place as far as how we could use those videos to make some meaningful opportunities for kids. So I feel like it's really bringing that reality to them, and it's really exciting because we need it.
Right. And the manufacturers, they got to be just loving this because this is what they need in order to get more people, more students into the workforce with them. right?
Right. And Jen has done a tremendous job working with the manufacturing community to get students through their doors. Do you want her to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, Jen.
Sure, yeah. Well, first of all, I actually really love touring manufacturing plants.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I would love that too. I've been in a couple, and it's very interesting. You have a
so
very interesting job.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so interesting. And, to be able to bring the students through and really involve almost all of their senses, sight, sound, smell. I mean, it's the careers coming to life right in front of them. And they're able to, kind of visually walk through it and decide, is this something that I want to do? So, yeah, I do try to make it a point to make sure that I get as many students touring through the different local manufacturers as possible to see everything, plastics and CNC machines. And the manufacturers are tremendous partners. They're very open and welcoming. Often we have special treats that we get and the welcoming signs and everything. So they're wonderful hosts too.
Have any of the manufacturers have donated to this organization and what you're doing?
I do get support from the manufacturers for the Career Street program.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
That's important. So it is podcast 14. It's Learn, Work, and Thrive in the 814 with Erie Together's Executive Director, Mary Beulah, Career Street Coordinator, Jennifer Ponser. Also, we have Mrs. Stacy Dell, the Director of Curriculum and Special Programs at the Union City School District, former Iroquois Brave. Stacy, you are an advocate for the homeless students in Union City's school district. This piqued my interest. Tell us more about how you are this liaison for students.
It's some of the proudest work that we get to do at Union City is serve our students. We have a population of individuals experiencing homelessness, educational instability, students in foster care. And our team works really hard to not only identify these students, but to provide them with some really critical resources and supports. Currently, we have about 38 students who are experiencing homelessness. And that can range from, situations where they're doubled up. They might be living in shelters or temporary housing. And our team just does a fantastic job at Union City, not only ensuring that those students are identified, but also, getting them access to food, clothing, supports, programs. We do a lot of work with the Attorneys and Kids Together program through the Erie County Bar Association, the United Way. We're a community school, and the United Way has been a huge partner of ours for ensuring that our students have access to, those critical resources that make the learning possible. And, it's a lot of times we think homelessness looks a certain way.
Oh, I don't think anybody thinks that any student that is going to school right now is homeless.
Right.
And they are. Now, I don't know what the city stats look like, Mary. Do you know anything about No. Okay. But I'm just saying that people don't think that these kids are going to school and they're homeless and their families are dislocated. And, I think that needs to be an eye-opener for so many in the 814 right now.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of families who persevere through some really incredible circumstances. So it's a very challenging role to have. But at the same time, like I said, we have such a great team of individuals who put kids first and make sure that their needs are tended to.
Let's talk about fostering, too, because there's that. They get out of school, they turn 18, and then next thing you know, they're forgotten. Is there anything in place right now that you do with the Union City School District that helps to, provide or guide these students that, are just going to be out on their own after the age of 18?
I feel like regionally, Region 5 is kind of the consortium of the counties that we work within for supporting students experiencing homelessness and in foster care. And I feel like they've done a tremendous job at setting up some programs for students, not only, tutoring opportunities and virtual opportunities to get academic support, but scholarships and opportunities for students to continue their education. Kids that don't have things as simple as a social security card or a birth certificate and things, that access to financial aid and funding for continuing their education is a huge barrier. And I'm really proud of the work that Erie County, but even our greater region is doing to help kids get access to those opportunities. There are a lot of things in place as far as, while they're still with us in school. But I think that that's an area that we're still always looking to grow, is how do we keep connecting with them, the time beyond.
Right. So there are federal programs and grants available?
Absolutely. Students experiencing homelessness are often able to apply for not only funding for continuing their college education, but I've even seen different programs that can help students offset costs toward vocational training and things like that. So we spend a lot of time. Our guidance counselors do a phenomenal job at sitting down with those students and walking them through their options so that they know that support doesn't end as soon as they walk across that stage, that there are options and opportunities for them, and that we're going to see them through that. So,
Stacy, can you share us a success story?
Oh my goodness,
I'm sure you have many.
Well, like I said, the team of individuals that we have, it's really, I would say, impactful to know, our teachers are fantastic at not only supporting the kids during the school day and, while they're with us in high school, but I can't tell you how many are still having students reaching out to them, to let them know, hey, it's a tough thing to say, but that moment in my life where I was an unaccompanied youth or experiencing homelessness, it opened up connections to people and opportunities, where a student might now have a means of transportation that they didn't have previously.
Right.
They might have access to a job because they had that social security card and were able to apply for those things. So we have a couple of students right now that keep in touch with us and let us know.
That's what I was going to say. It must feel really good to have these students come back and say, thank you. You were really influential in doing great things for me so I could be successful in the 814. So, Mary, summing up our wins, are there any? I noticed that you have a couple other things that you'd like to chit chat about. You got your paperwork and. We
have a lot of wins.
Good. And I can tell. I mean, just being in the room with the three of you individuals to tell me about what's been going on since the inception of Erie Together is incredible.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
I would say the things that we are most excited about is the work that we're doing, obviously, with career exploration and career pathways development around the skilled trades, around human services. With some support with the county, we launched a whole human service advisory group and new experiences for kids to experience those kinds of careers. And when we talk about human services, it's not just social services, it's law and public safety, it's government and public administration, it's hospitality, it's, human service, social service kinds of things. And there are other careers that, it's teaching, education, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's something we're very excited about because the need in this community for those kinds of skills and those professions is tremendous. And so the extent that we can get those kids in front of employers and learning about opportunities and, resources available to them is really good. We're super excited about our profile of a graduate. I'm really excited about convening the community around this because the schools are doing their part now. And now the community has an opportunity to really think about what do we do in our personal and our professional circles that can support the development of these skills. And I think when you convene and coalesce people to a larger degree around these kinds of things, it's going to be a game changer. We're super excited about that. We're about to launch our fifth and final industry advisory group, and it's related to arts and communications. So we might be calling on you.
I would love to be a part of it. Okay. Absolutely. That'd be great.
Thank you. So that's, and that's with some support from county government as well. And, our multi-district industry club, we want to see that launch and do well. We're going to to do our 9th annual Youth Civic Engagement Symposium. And so we've got a lot going on.
Jen, if, with Career Street and everything, what if their parents are listening now and want to become more involved in all the careers, do they just go to the website? Well, how do we get around all this?
Yeah, they can go to the website and see what it's all about. But every school district, every participating school district has what's called a Career Street liaison. So they're the point person. Mm-hmm. They're a parent or a student. They're welcome to reach out to me directly. And I can tell them who their liaison is. If they go back to school and talk to their educator, their teacher, their guidance counselor, they'll probably know who it is, and they'll be able to make that connection as well, too. So usually the communication happens between the educators and the employers. So if a teacher wants to set up a career day or a tour, they're connecting to the employer directly. There is some opportunity for the students to use the Career Street program, but that happens under the guidance of the educator.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So it comes through from the schools, right? So, Mary, if any of our listeners would like to become involved in all these initiatives, in which, as I can tell, are very successful, you're winning. You're absolutely winning. How can they get involved with Erie Together?
I would suggest first they go to the website, www.erietogether.org, and just see all the kinds of things we're involved in. And then I would suggest them sending me an email at mary@erietogether.org so that we can bring them into the fold. Everybody in this county is invited to participate in this work. Again, the reason it's so successful is because people have committed their time, their talent, their expertise, in some cases their resources, to really think about what's it going to take to make this community a place where everyone can learn, work, and thrive, and what can we do together differently than we have in the past to make those kinds of changes. And these are things that are coming out. Obviously, we're developing plans, we're measuring results, but these are not plans that sit on a shelf. These are things that we're executing. We're figuring out what worked, what didn't, making adjustments as we need to. So we want everybody engaged in this.
Now, do you meet on a monthly basis or weekly basis with different organizations, Mary? What does Erie Together, like, how do we bring everything together?
So we have 3 countywide action teams, one related to work, one related to learn, one related to thrive. Over the last year and a half or so, I've been convening those groups together, and we're doing our next meeting actually on February 1st, and it's at capacity. But we're going to start convening them more regularly now than we did during the pandemic. And so I'll probably hold the next one in a couple of months. I push this information out to a couple of thousand people. We promote it through our social media. Again, everyone's welcome. You just have to RSVP so we have space for you. There's no cost to attend. So again, check the website, look at our social media. We have a Facebook page, Erie Together. Career Street also has a Facebook page. We also have Twitter. We also have LinkedIn. So just check us out, Erie Together, and find out when things are happening and show up.
And if somebody wanted to donate, can they donate right online?
Yes, they can. We have a button on our website, but another way to donate is just contact me and let me know you want to do that, and we can tell you the best way to do it.
Perfect.
Yep, and it's mary@erietogether.org. Okay,
let's talk about 2024. Let's talk about after 2024. Where are we going? Where are we going? What are your thoughts about what's happening with Erie Together?
So where we are right now is we're in the process of working with those countywide action teams to identify the next projects of focus. And we have 5 on the agenda right now. The first one is addressing young people's lack of social skills. I think the pandemic had something to do with that.
That just hit me like a ton of bricks because, I'm a communicator.
Right.
And they aren't communicating anymore.
Right. And so.
Good call.
Yep. And again, that came from the community, right? So that's one. Increasing the community's focus on and support of early childhood education. That's something that's been on the agenda for years. We need to, again, ramp that up according to the community. Helping assure individuals have a seat at the table in arenas that impact them. So making sure that the community is inclusive, and if there are things happening where other voices should be heard, making sure that that people feel they have access to be able to contribute their voice to those things.
Great.
Helping address the need for access to and timely and culturally responsive mental health services and supports. Yep.
I am hearing a lot of things that that you're looking down the road with Erie Together that is so very important for us.
Right. And again,
Mental health is just, yes.
Right. And it's being driven by the community, right? And then the last one is helping identify and address transportation barriers to and from work for immigrants and others. As we all know, Erie's a large resettlement community. We have to be able to make sure that people who want to work are able to work, and transportation is a big piece of that.
Oh, it is. How about immigrants? You know, all the immigrants that have come here. I know that, you know, a lot of different nonprofit organizations have worked collaboratively to get, you know, the food, the shelter, all the different things. I mean, I ended up doing a Google Translate for Second Harvest Food Bank so they could read what's going on our website. Any future business that Erie Together is going to be doing for our immigrants?
Well, I think that transportation piece is the
deal.
first thing that we're gonna get into. Now, if other priorities arise as a result of these community conversations, then we'll definitely take a look at that. But right now, that's where we're focused.
I love the topics, and they are important. Those stand out, especially socialization. That has certainly changed through the years. I mean, I know when we grew up, we were outside, we were doing our thing. There was no television. Of course, your parents had TV, but they watched what they wanted to. So you were outside doing your thing. But I think the internet, phones, everything has changed for kids. And I think a lot of it has not been good. So I like the fact that you're looking at them becoming more social, and the mental health issue, of course, is top of the line right now for our students. Wow. I am just glad that all three of you came today to talk about Erie Together and everything that you're doing. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814. Your dedication to the mission of creating successful students in Erie and Erie County are to be commended. I mean, as I was putting all this together, I had a great feeling that this was going to be a great podcast. And you're all doing great work. I want to close the show with a quote from Steve Jobs. He said, if you are working on something that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you, and Erie Together is just that. Thank you, ladies, for being on the show, and have a wonderful day.
You've been tuned in to Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814, sponsored by Erie Insurance on 88.5 and 102.7 LECOM Radio.